Hello students, this is after a long time that we are having some communication. These are difficult days that we are passing through, but I hope, or rather we all hope, that this phase will come to an end and we will meet again. Now today I like to shed some light on the topic, or rather the poem My Own True Family by Ted Hughes, which is included in the syllabus of class 10. As you know, two things are common in all the texts that are selected for class 10. These are relationship and empathy. As in the case with the first chapter, that is Father Cell, it is about the relationship between father and son in the one hand and the teacher and the student on the other. In the case with the second chapter, that is poem Fable, it is about the relationship between the have and the have not, or rather those who are superior and those who belong to the inferior level. In the third chapter, Passing Our Bapu, it is about the relationship between the leader and the led, or rather the leader and his follower. In this poem too, there is a relationship. It is between man and nature in general and man and trees in particular. The poem written by Ted Hughes has many layers of meaning, but the primary thing that is there in this poem is the inhumanity and the barbarism that we often deploy in treating the trees. We have all written many essays about the utility or the benefits of the trees, how essential their existence are for our own survival. But in reality, it is not correct to say that all of us do such thing, but some of us treat them in the most inhuman way, cut them down, uproot them, and do everything that we will be ashamed of doing to our family members. Now let us come to the title of the poem, that is My Own True Family. The most important word in the title is family. Whom do we consider as our family members? A family member is he who cares for us, who treats us in a very gentle, sympathetic way. It is not essential to have blood connection with our family members. Rather, what is essential or what requires most is our understanding, is the level of understanding, dedication, spirit of sacrifice that holds the family together. Trees are like that, but we do not consider them as our family. If we have considered them as our family, we should not have done all those inhuman things to the trees, who are our best friend. The poem begins with the description of the poet persona entering into a forest in a very stealthy manner. Stealthily. He was creeping. He was as if trying to avoid making any sound. Now, before beginning the poem, I would like to draw your attention to the last line of the poem. If you go through this line reads like this: My walk was the walk of a human child. My walk, and the very verb that is used in the first sentence is I crept. So the poem involves a journey, creeping into the forest and walking out of the forest. He was as if creeping, he was like a child when he enters into the forest. But when he comes out of the forest, he had the strength in his backbone to held himself high. When he enters into the forest, his backbone was weak. He did not have knowledge. He was missing something. But when he comes out of the forest, he was not like that person who enters into the forest. Now, let us read this poem. Once I crept in an oak wood. Oak trees are generally considered to be very stubborn, very strong, and the poet persona entered into the forest. Stealthily, as I have mentioned earlier, he was trying to avoid making any sound. I was looking for a stag, and this is the reason, or rather this was the reason why he was trying to keep himself low, trying to avoid making any sound, because he was looking for a stag. Perhaps he was looking to hunt it down. Stag, male deer, very exquisitely beautiful creature with all those horns on its head, and he was trying to kill it, perhaps. I met an old woman there. He had an encounter with an old woman. It was quite mysterious. How did that woman come there? What was she doing there? There is mystery all over. But one thing is common, one thing is very certain, she was very old. All nobly stick and rag. She had a stick in her hand which was full of knots, and she was wearing rag. The clothes that she was wearing was not neat and clean. It has many holes in it. There is one thing which I like to add here. This woman is not just any woman. She is in fact a personification of nature herself. She is the symbolic representation of nature herself. Nature or trees, we treat them inhumanly. They have endured for thousands and hundreds of years all those pains and tortures, but now the time has come for them to retaliate, and this woman is the symbol of that sort of retaliation. She talked to the poet, I have your secret here inside my little bag. She was holding a little bag in her hand, and she categorically told the poet that she was having a secret. The secret, what can the secret be? We do not know what that secret is, but we know that she was holding something back from the poet, and she was as if trying to expose those secrets to the poet, and that exposure would definitely make the poet tremble in fear. We all try to hide our secrets from public domain, and that is what the poet was also trying to do. Poet speaker, rather, poet person was trying to do. She said, I have your secret inside here, inside my little bag. So she was holding a little bag. She was old. She had an obelisk stick in her hand, and she wore rag. Then she began to cackle, and I began to quake. The woman started to laugh, and that laugh was like the laugh of a jackal, mysterious type of laugh, something which would make everyone very fearful. And the poet began to tremble in fear. That was the time of fear, because the poet was not expecting that sort of thing to happen. He was looking for a stag, he was going to hunt it down, but here the hunter became the hunted. The roles have reversed. She opened up her little bag, and I came twice awake. This phrase, twice awake, can be interpreted in different ways, but I believe that twice awake means she was the poet person was transported into a different reality, and as if she had been asleep for all these days. She was not aware of something, and now he will become aware. He will wake up into a different reality. She opened up her bag, and I came twice awake. The poet speaker came twice awake, surrounded by a staring tribe and me tied to a stake. The poet, as he found himself surrounded by all those oak trees who came alive suddenly. They are behaving like tribal people, and he was tied to a stake. As I have mentioned earlier, the hunter became the hunted. He came there to hunt down a stag that belonged to nature, Mother Nature, and now he was himself in a position where he could be killed, where something terrible might have happened to him. They said, they means all those tribe, all those trees who came alive, we are oak trees. The oak trees, these are called personification, making non-human beings speaking like human being, acting like human being. They said, we are oak trees and your own true family. Own true family. Family, as I have mentioned earlier, family members look for one another, help one another, stand by one another. But now the trees, they have been ignored, they have been tortured, they have been brutally treated by the human beings. Now the time has come for them to retaliate. So ear chopped down, the trees started to speak out. The trees started to make the poet speaker aware of the things that we have done with them, done to them. We are chopped down. The trees have been killed. We are torn up. We are so inhuman in our treatment with nature that we tear them apart. And you do not blink an eye, and we don't even feel how painful it is for the trees. We take them for granted. We have treated trees are essential for our survival, but like Kalidas, the famous story of Kalidas, who was sitting on a branch and cutting it down without knowing how disastrous it would be. The poet speaker was made aware of such disastrous things that is going to happen after the elimination of the trees. Unless you make a promise now you are going to die. The poet was made to promise something, and he was threatened that unless he made such promise, he would be killed then and there by all those staring tribes, or rather the trees. Whenever you see an oak tree felled, these are inside the quotation mark. So these are the words uttered by all those staring tribes of the trees, oak trees. Whenever you see an oak tree felled, if he found some oak trees cut by human beings, swear now, promise now, swear means promise now, you will plant two. When one tree is killed, two trees should be planted. One should be substituted by two. This is their simple thing. The poet was made to promise that. And root you among the oaks where, I have missed one line, unless you swear the black oak bark will wrinkle over you. And he was categorically told that unless he made such promise, he would be killed, and killed in a funny way. The oak bark will wrinkle over him. The suggestion is that if the poet is made into a tree, then another human being will come and he would cut him down. So he would be killed directly by the human being and indirectly by the trees. And root you among the oaks where you are born but never grew. This is a very important line, because we are all born of nature. It is nature who nourished us, provided us our sustenance. It is the trees that, because of them we survive. It is because of them that we live on this earth. The poet speaker had been a very tricky situation. He was surrounded by a staring tribe. He was tied to a stake, and it was up to him to decide whether he would like to live or die and act accordingly. We too are in that sort of a tricky situation. We found ourselves cornered. We are forced to stay indoors. We are to confine ourselves within the four walls of our house. And it is all because of a microscopic tiny creature whom we have been ignoring for a very, very long time. That is COVID-19 virus that has been wreaking havoc all around the world. And the poet speaker, and we, like the poet speaker, thought that we are invincible. No one can conquer us. We have progressed, and we are very proud of our achievements. We are very proud of the excellence that we have achieved in the fields of science and technology. And yet, we are brought to our knees. We are made to see how foolish we had been in our dealing with nature. And while all these are going on, nature has found a way to cure, to cleanse, to heal herself. The Gangetic dolphins are back after decades. The seashore of Mumbai are flocked with flamingos. the particles responsible for air pollution have all vanished. So, uh, after all, nature will remain unconquerable. And the poet speaker, just as we have find out our folly, just we have found out how wrong we were in our dealing with nature, the poet speaker too found it out at last. Now let me finish the rest of the lines. And root you among the oaks where you were born but never grew. We did not care for the trees, we did not care for nature. We thought we were invincible, no one can conquer us. This was my dream beneath the boughs. Now we are made to see that this is not real. It was all a dream that the poet had been dreaming. And that dream convinced him of our mistakes and follies. This was my dream beneath the boughs, the dream that altered me. And he was a completely changed man, just like us, who I hope will change ourselves. Many of our attitudes and behavior will change in the coming years after this pandemic will be over. When I came out of the oak wood back to human company, the poet had to leave. He was in the jungle, he was looking for a stag, but he had to come back to the human civilization. So he came out of the oak wood back to human company. My walk was the walk of a human child, but my heart was a tree. Definitely, as I have mentioned earlier at the beginning of our this video, that the poet speaker entered into the forest creeping, crawling. He was like a child. He did not have the strength in his backbone. But now, after all these things, he has realized how wrong he was, how wrong we are, in fact, in our treatment with trees, in our dealing with nature. And that is why when he came out of the oak wood, he was walking, he was standing on his feet. He knew that what he has to do in future to survive, to live. So his walk was the walk of a human child, but my heart was a tree. He had found out his true family. He has now known who our true and best friends are, who will think of us, who will stand by us when they are required, when they are needed. And this is what is called empathy, identification. The poet speaker was able to identify himself with the trees, not just sympathizing for the pain and the tortures that the trees had been undergoing for such a long period of time, but he was feeling for the trees, feeling into. This is called empathy. And as I mentioned earlier, these are the two major issues found in every chapter included in class 10. That is relationship between man and nature, in this case, in this particular poem, and empathy. The poet now starts to feel for the trees, starts to consider the trees to be his best friend, and that is how the title is appropriate. My own true family. These trees have now become his own true family. Now the poem is complete, and I want to remind the students of one thing. It was my mistake to mention, while clarifying the line twice awake, I perhaps have mentioned the poet speaker as she. It was my mistake. It was he who came twice awake. That's all.